Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and today we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Super Hero's second trailer, and why Gohan will be great in this movie, and why Gohan has been great in a very underrated way in more recent Dragon Ball arcs. And the reason for this, guys, is really simple, and we're going to go through and give examples to really illustrate this. But Gohan's hidden greatness in Dragon Ball Super is his ability to bridge the gap between the main characters and the side characters, which has been a problem that Dragon Ball has had, even going back to Dragon Ball Z. And what exactly do we mean by this? Well, if we look at the Dragon Ball cast, right, obviously Goku and Vegeta are the main characters, and obviously they're going to be the ones to fight against the strongest characters in opposition, because they've had the special training, they've learned Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, they've gone through all of these things that make them simply stronger than everyone else, and they're the most popular, so obviously the plot is always going to be favored towards them. However, whenever you have a large-scale arc where it's not just the villain, but the villain has sub-villains and side characters that are going to be second tier to the main threat, Gohan excels when it comes to this because he's always been relevant in that. He's not strong enough to fight against the main villains, but if you give him like a sub-boss or the second to last guy, Gohan and the other side characters always find relevance in that, and what makes that great is that it eliminates them as just being side characters that just sit by and watch Goku and Vegeta do all the work, and they could actually get something to do. This all began in Resurrection of F, where obviously Frieza was the main villain. But despite Frieza being the main villain, guess what? Gohan and the side characters were able to fight a bunch of henchmen, and while the henchmen weren't that powerful and there wasn't a lot of tension in terms of what an actual threat those henchmen could be, it was cool to see those characters coming back and at least contributing towards saving Earth in some way or another. Now obviously, Gohan didn't do much later on up until the Tournament of Power arc, but when the Tournament of Power arc actually happened, we got a chance to see it once again where Gohan contributed to taking down Dispel, which was one of the better characters in Universe 11. So when we look at it like that, Gohan was able to at least contribute somewhat there, and Gohan also fought alongside the other side characters, many of whom were a lot weaker than Gohan, but got at least some screen time of shining because of Gohan's influence and being the de facto leader of the second tier characters. Which is one of the reasons why Gohan always works very well with Piccolo, and that takes us over to what we have as the Moro arc, where in the Moro arc, obviously Goku and Vegeta went through special training once again to fight against Moro in the time split before Moro came to Earth. But in that time, we saw Gohan and Piccolo and all the other characters fighting against 7-3 and the lower tier characters once again, which is one of the reasons why Gohan has always been good for Dragon Ball Super. Whenever Gohan is around, it shows that the other characters have a leader that they can look towards in fighting against the lower tier characters. And especially because of the fact that this movie is going to be featured around his own daughter Pen. Now, this is even better for the character of Gohan because unlike other Dragon Ball plots where Gohan was just the de facto side fighter to defeating all of these subplot characters, Gohan's actual daughter is going to be featured in this, which means that Gohan's going to have a actual more core plot to the actual arc, or shall I say movie, than other movies where he just fights, which makes this even more interesting overall. And while I'm not very happy with what I've seen so far with Piccolo, of him getting wrecked so far in the trailer, let's just hope that Piccolo will be treated a lot better than he has been in more recent Dragon Ball plots, where he got beaten by an invisible bug, he lost to Frost in a cheap way, then, on top of that, he got wrecked by Sashimi in Resurrection of F, and how many other times has Piccolo gotten wrecked? I've lost count. But if you can remember more recent times where Piccolo got wrecked, oh yeah, he got beaten by Beerus in Resurrection of, oh not Resurrection F, Battle of Gods, when Beerus whipped out those chopsticks and just knocked him down. That was another great one. So yeah guys, don't blame me for being pessimistic about Piccolo's usage here. I know many of my friends and several of you have been asking to hear my thoughts on Piccolo. They're not great because we've had a very bad track record, but let's be hopeful. Hope will bail us out of this Piccolo slump, guys. So overall, guys, let me know your thoughts on the trailer, and let's talk again soon.